Last year, I talked about how great it was to be 28 and single as a man. This year, I want to talk about how great it is to be a single man at 29 or 18 with an extra 11 years of experience, as I prefer to say, who has found joy in my museum and aquarium visits, while also being more interesting to women than just being the guy who sits at home playing video games when he's not at the instant gratification job or making videos for this channel. I'm already seeing slightly better results on Tinder, even if I unmatched my lone match because I never got around to messaging her on account of the fact that I'm too busy going out or working on this channel, and don't feel the pressure to engage in the aspects of it that doomers would call humiliation rituals. Honestly, I've been swiping left more often than I swipe right during my time on Tinder. I don't care how limiting that is, because I will not consider a woman who admits to drinking, smoking, or drugs, April 20th or otherwise, romantically viable, whether through pictures, bio, or lifestyle selections. It's more effort, but I'd rather not pay for the paid versions that allow for filtering for the exact type of woman I seek, because if I get too specific, I worry about being told no options for women aged 26 to 49 who fit my aforementioned non negotiables or others, including doesn't have or want kids, pet free, have no special diets or food allergies, and whose stated interests are ones that I can deal with if they don't align with mine. Though I will walk away if I discover any I don't like later on. The fact is that self respect and being more selective than Gus Fring was with business associates matters more to me than caving into fear of loneliness. I recognize the loneliness epidemic, its damage to the human body equaling 15 packs of cigarettes a day, and that not everybody has the lifelong friend group that I do things with. But that doesn't mean you compromise on your quality of life or accept a partner who is less than as close to perfection as you can get. I'm not saying you have to be radically selective on every little thing like I am, but both men and women should be willing to set and enforce boundaries and know what they absolutely cannot compromise on. Personally, I will never compromise on substances and smoking. Will never date a woman who has or wants kids because I refuse to be a father or stepfather. Never consider a woman who is vegan, vegetarian, insert special diet here, or has food allergies due to anxiety around potential reactions and feeling like I'd be walking on eggshells with food. I won't waste time and effort trying to change one who does any of that, especially because I can't exactly make someone not allergic to a food they're allergic to. Another example is that I will not date a woman who has a dog because I think dogs are needy little brats. I'm just gonna say it. No matter how amazing they are at rescue operations, as I saw in the IMAX documentary Superpower Dogs. That said, I'm not stupid enough to never compromise on anything ever, because as Congress demonstrates, you have to compromise here and there, or nothing gets done. I can compromise because I would date a woman who has a cat, and before you accuse me in the comments of having a crazy cat lady fetish, no, I don't. Because I'd also apply it to pets that require less time and attention. An unwillingness to compromise at some point inevitably becomes isolation, because nobody is perfect. My ideal woman wouldn't be a pet person in the first place, but if I had to compromise somewhere, I'd choose one with pet cats because they'd at least deal with rodents and can be left alone in the house for longer periods of time. Other pets, like fish or anything that requires the least possible amount of responsibility, I'm more likely to give a chance. But if she has a dog, it's not happening. I'm not going to waste time trying to change her mind on that. I also don't want to severely limit my options by saying, no pets, ever. The point is that I can compromise here and there, like the government going back to the founders who prioritized building the country rather than throwing it all away and never getting a chance to get what you want long term. A section of my 10th grade US history textbook titled A Nation Built on Compromise or something along those lines really stood out to me, and that's why I'm a big fan of finding compromises. Obviously, I'm not going to suddenly say, I'll date a woman who drinks only on special occasions or socially on weekends because that doesn't affect me. Because that's something you should never compromise on, but that the quest for perfection is futile, and you have to decide what you can live with. I'd also like to add that, unlike work, you don't have to just find something that makes you happy, like Joanna said about jobs in office space. A romantic partner would be more prominent in your daily life than any job. And despite the bad job market, you can more easily change a job without guilt than a romantic partner. You need to pay the bills, but you don't need a romantic partner that'll make your life worse. Personally, if I had to choose between staying single or dating a woman whose presence would make my life worse, I'd choose staying single. Disturbing the peace is a crime for a reason, and I won't let anyone who disturbs my peace into my life. Guess what I'm trying to say is to know what you want, know what you can compromise on, and stick to those. Do the things you enjoy that also make you more interesting. Because Shelby of Shelby Exists and Makes Stuff wasn't completely wrong about that in her infamous video. You know the one. If you won't date someone who is a bad fit, on something you won't compromise on, end the courting as soon as you find out something you can't compromise on. Explain your boundaries, wish them the best, and move on. Do not try to change them. Just be prepared to accept limits on your quantity of dating options, because that will be a consequence. And as I always say, make choices as an adult of sound mind, but accept the consequences. I say that for men who seek trad wives and the women who make the TikToks complaining about men, which could all just be for clout. If most women really want the triple six men, that's more than okay. If they'll settle for nothing less than that, also okay. Unless they complain about a lack of options and too many chopped men. If most men want a chaste trad wife, that's more than okay. If they'll settle for nothing less than that, also okay, unless they complain about a lack of options and too many 304s, flu seasons. Insert other doomer euphemisms here. I came up with the flu season one, and you can probably guess what it means. People, male or female, have a right to their preferences, what they're willing to compromise on, and whether they're willing to compromise. That said, they also have the adult responsibility as an adult of sound mind to accept the consequences of their actions and choices, such as fewer dating options, which actually wouldn't be bad in my opinion, because it negates analysis paralysis. Being single is great. I'm sure being in a relationship has its perks too, like the guy who made the comment on last year's Valentine's Day special about how great it is while criticizing my issue with how I might have to wait to share a movie or show, which is another thing I won't compromise on. As much as I'm sure it'd be fun to watch a good movie for the first time together, I'm also not going to wait for a hypothetical girlfriend or wife to be able to watch it when I don't have anything else standing in my way, like various roadblocks that delayed me seeing a new planetarium show I wanted to see by 2 full weeks recently. The point I'm trying to make is that I prefer to do things on my timeline, which is why I say it's ultimately my own fault for not going to see it on one of the 2 weekdays after it debuted that I went into the city before that initial Saturday. I accept that which was beyond my control happened, along with the delays as a consequence of my choices to do other things on those preceding weekdays, and see the movie at AMC that made seeing it that day impossible. In the last Valentine's Day video, I talked about how I didn't wait 2 weeks for my friends to watch Knuckles and Sonic 3 in 2024. I saw both of them as soon as humanly possible. Knuckles on the day it dropped on Paramount Plus, and Sonic 3 at the earliest Thursday preview show I could find. Seeing Sonic 3 with them 2 weeks later was fun because I got to see their reactions to the moments that made me laugh and cry tears of sadness and joy. And I'm sure I could experience that with a girlfriend or wife too. That actually made me realize something else I will never compromise on that dating apps unfortunately can't filter for: phone usage during movies, especially at a theater. I used to watch my movies in the living room, which my mom would sometimes join in on, but over the years, until I got to carve out my own space with my own TV away from her, she would use her phone during it. Behind me, thankfully. The problem was, she'd laugh at something she read on her phone, which threw my viewing experience off. PSA to everyone watching this or listening in the background while using your phone or something else. I'd like to say, don't use your phone in a movie theater. It's rude to everyone else there, ignoring the disrespect for the hard work of everyone who made the movie, a mentality instilled by senior year film studies class. Your boredom does not trump other people's right to immersing themselves in the theater experience. And if you're the type of person who likes to use their phone, why are you spending money on a ticket? If you want to know what time it is, my solution is to just get a watch. Whether it's a smart one or not, it's way less disruptive. Actually, a smartwatch would allow seeing notifications if they're that important, which is a compromise I could make on that front, even if they don't fit the in case of emergency definition. If she objects to putting her phone in Do Not Disturb and placing it physically beyond arm's reach in a home setting or in her pocket at the theater, it won't work between us. If she pulls out her phone during a movie at a theater, especially if we discussed it ahead of time, I will never talk to her again because of the disrespect and immaturity it signals. That goes double if it's the planetarium because, like the person there says before every show, it's designed to reflect and amplify light, and we will know exactly where you are. Anyway, I will not let dating be a detriment to my life. I will only allow it to enhance my life. And if I never find a woman who's not perfect in the areas it matters most, and within the acceptable margin of what I can compromise on, my life will not be worse for it. It might not get as much of a boost, but I'll still enjoy my city trips, video games, movies, and so on. This Valentine's Day, remember that being single is freedom to customize your life. Then decide if a partner is a good fit or not. I'll swipe left on 1,000 profiles on Tinder before I swipe right on any who are bad fits for my life. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Comment your thoughts on all of this, especially if you're comfortable sharing what you will and won't compromise on in dating. If you disagree with any of my personal preferences, feel free to explain why in the comments, especially if you want to insult me, because I read every single comment, even the hidden ones. Finally, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations, but certain about what he wants. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.